The magical meals of the wizard Dr. Darin Hughes. Food. Friends. Science of laughter. Wizardry. The magical meals of the wizard Dr. Darin Hughes.
Okay, so what we're trying to do today is recreate the cult classic Chilito, Taco Bell's Chilito, also known as the chili cheese burrito. Here's a fun fact, is they actually changed the name from Chilito to chili cheese burrito because Chilito means little dick. Alright, so what do we need to accomplish this? And I'm telling you, this is going to be exactly like, well, probably better than what you would get at Taco Bell back when they used to offer this. So we're going to need several ingredients here. I like to use Taco Bell seasoning mix. You don't have to. There's any of the normal taco seasoning mixes are going to work. They pretty much taste about the same. It's not a big deal, but I figure why not go with the actual brand. The mild sauce, I'm going to say you need this actually. So you can either go steal a bunch of packets from the store, or you can go to a grocery store and find this. Usually I'll do a mix between mild and hot sauce, but this was all I had on me at this point in time, and this will work just fine. It's all good. This is just your standard market ground beef. You could use sirloin if you wanted to for some reason, but I don't know that you'd notice any difference really. Okay, so this is a tricky one here. There are people out on the internet that believe that you can make the Chilito with just this, without having the ground beef, and then use some taco seasoning, use some of this sauce, and then use some cheese, and you're good to go.
That does not resonate with my experience with the Chilito or chili cheese burrito.
This is way too watery. I mean, we all know that if you had a chili cheese burrito before, you know that yes, it does run and it is messy, but it's not this messy. This will end up being all over everything and just flowing right out of your burrito. And then lastly, I mean, really, it's cheddar cheese at the end of the day is what you need. I like using the Mexican four cheese, that creamy melt. Any type of shredded cheddar cheese should be fine. And this is actually a hugely important piece. If you really want to recreate the Chilito, you need to get that Taco Bell tortilla texture. And this is not easy to do. Most people will try to pan fry them or even put them on the grill. That's not going to give you the Taco Bell experience. And unless you have some sort of steamer, then by all means use that. But the easiest way to do it at home without having to buy special equipment just to make a Chilito is to take one of these tortillas, put it underneath the faucet, soak it, put it onto a plate, and microwave it for about 25 seconds. That will produce a warm, soft, kind of Taco Bell-ish tortilla consistency that we all have come to know and love. So those are the ingredients. Now let's see how it all comes together. Okay, so we're just browning beef like you would do for any other dish, your hamburger helpers, your spaghetti sauce, whatever it may be. The one thing I will say is depending on the amount of fat that you have in the ground beef, you might want to drink or you might not. So if it's the type of ground beef that we're using right now, which is fairly low in fat, so you can kind of see what we've got here, I'm actually not going to drain this. I think that's a good amount of fat to keep for what we're going for here with the chili cheese burrito. Okay, so now now that we have our ground beef browned properly and cooked thoroughly and chopped up to be fairly fine, what we're going to do now is we are going to introduce our other ingredients. So the first thing that's going to go in is going to be our Hormel chili. No beans. That part is very important. We do not want to have beans in this. Some recipes out there have you putting beans into this dish. It does not belong in the chili cheese burrito. Beans are no part of it. There are no beans in the chili cheese burrito. I've seen a bunch of recipes out there where they introduce that to sort of
thicken up
the sauce, but that's not what we want to do here. Okay, and at the same time, we can also go ahead now and add in our mild sauce. You're going to do this to taste. I can't tell you exactly how much you're going to want to add here, but I'm going to give it a pretty good amount. Maybe about half of this bottle, I guess. I'm not really sure. And then I'm going to go ahead also and add in our taco seasoning. Now, you may also want to add a little bit of water at some point. I kind of play that one by ear, seeing how things are going and seeing if it looks a little too dry for me or not. And what I added here, by the way, was about 1 1/4 or maybe 1 1/3 of a taco seasoning packet. We're going for making a Taco Bell Chilito. It's going to be salty. That's kind of what you want. Okay, so now this part's kind of weird, especially for people who've done a lot of work with tortillas before. They might find it strange, but I basically want to soak the tortilla in water on both sides. Okay, that should do it. And then now, again, this is just working with what most people have in their kitchen, is a microwave. So we're going to microwave it for about 25 seconds is what I've found works pretty well. Okay, so here we have our freshly steamed tortilla. So now we're going to add our cheese. And again, we want this to be done fairly liberally because they put a lot of cheese in those chili cheese burritos. And then we're going to add our filling, and we want to make sure this is still fairly hot so that it's able to melt the cheese, because that's pretty much what we're depending on it doing here. And normally I probably wouldn't put as much filling on these because it becomes a little bit hard to fold. So if you have a bunch of tortillas, maybe you put smaller amounts of this stuff in it so you can fold them better. And then we're just going to do a very basic fold here where we fold the bottom, fold the top, and then we roll it from there. There we go. Alright, you ready for this flashback?
I am Dr. Hughes.
Alright. Cheers.
Yes. Guinness and Chilitos.
And it is worth pointing out how my burrito folding technique gets incrementally better.
Thanks, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too.
Looking forward to this.
Alright.
Ooh, so far so good. It feels like a Chilito.
Right?
Seriously?
That's an important
That's
part.
why they microwave, right?
Yeah, exactly. What do you think?
That's seriously, perfect. That's literally perfect.
I've been working on it for a year and a half, which is absurd, but I have been.
It's seriously, exactly. Wow, man.
So I started with some stuff that was on the internet, and they involved using all kinds of weird things, from pureed tomatoes, refried beans, a whole bunch of different things. And the first time I ever posted anything on the internet about it, I was like, hey, I got to figure out how to do a Chilito. I had it with refried beans in there, and then somebody was like, dude, there's no beans in the Chilito. And I was like, oh crap, he's right.
This is it.
Yeah, but the other key too was that beanless chili or whatever, that is a necessary to make it a little more juicy, if you will.
Oh my god.
For better or worse, I've gotten my kids into this and they love it.
Dad, give me a Chilito.
I just call them burritos. So that's to them, they just know these as burritos.
Yeah.
So you want a burrito? Yeah. What do you think? I can't believe that we used to get these in the cafeteria at high school.
So what do you exactly remember from the you said Chilitos lady?
Well, it was Eric Kozak that was the victim of it, if I'm correct, right? I thought it was him. He went in, he asked for a Chilito, and then he was given 2 Chilitos by the what do you call that? The lunch lady, but I mean, she was more than just a lunch lady. And they got into a whole fight, right? Because she gave him 2 Chilitos, and he was like, "I just wanted one." Because, "Yo said 2 Chilitos." He was sort of traumatized, but
I just know that you told me about it, and it went from you said 2 Chilitos to you said 2 Chilitos to Doritos to
I don't know, that would have been 10th grade, I think. 10th grade. And then there was the Chilito girl, too. It was like the semi-hot Asian chick.
Oh, yeah, Yuri.
Yuri, yeah, that's right. And then we had a song about her, too, called Chilito Girl.
Yeah, she was interesting, weird.
At least she had a blue tooth.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hughes.
That was excellent.
Your magical meals. That was outrageous.
I think the way to go is recreate, not fancy food, there's a million people out there doing that. Recreate common man's food.
I agree. Thanks, Doctor.
My pleasure.